The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. Park Yuna stepped out onto the metal floor of Helix 9, the largest space station in the Galactic Confederacy. She was 17 years old, and she was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Academy. The hallway was wide and bright. Strange lights floated near the ceiling, moving slowly like lazy fish in water. Yuna pulled her small bag closer to her shoulder and started walking. Her boots made soft sounds on the floor. Every other sound seemed too loud in the silence. She knew they were watching her. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stood along the walls. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had skin that changed colors as she passed. They all stared at her with eyes of different shapes and numbers. 2 eyes, 4 eyes, eyes on stalks, eyes that glowed in the dim corners. Yuna kept her face calm. She had practiced this. Back on Earth, her trainers had told her what to expect. They think humans are primitive, they had said. They think we are weak, young, stupid. You must not react. You must not show fear. So she did not show fear. She walked with her back straight and her eyes forward. The whispers started. Her translator, a small device behind her ear, tried to keep up. It caught pieces of conversations in dozens of languages. So small. Look at its skin. So soft, only 2 eyes. How does it survive? They say humans eat other animals with their teeth. Primitive hunters from a death world. Yuna ignored them all. She found her classroom and stepped inside. The room was large and round. Seats rose up in circles around a center platform where a tall, thin creature stood. This was Instructor Melos, a Scythian. He had gray skin that looked like old paper, and his eyes were completely black. He turned those dark eyes toward Yuna as she entered. "Ah," he said. His voice was soft and dry like wind through dead leaves. "The human has arrived." Every student in the room turned to look at her. Yuna counted quickly. About 40 students. 40 different species, maybe more. Some she recognized from her studies. The tall ones with blue-silver skin and 4 eyes were Valori. The massive creatures covered in natural armor were Karathi. The small ones that floated in anti-gravity bubbles were Min. She saw one empty seat near the back. She walked toward it. The students near that seat moved away slightly, as if she carried a disease. "Sit," Instructor Mela said. "We will continue." Yuna sat. The seat was too big for her. It was made for larger bodies. She felt like a child in an adult's chair. The lesson continued, but she noticed that no one was really listening. They kept glancing at her. She heard more whispers, even quieter now. One voice was louder than the others. It came from a huge Karathi sitting 3 rows down. His name, she would later learn, was Bren. He was twice her size, covered in thick gray plates that looked like stone. "This is what Earth sends us," Bren said. He did not bother to whisper. "A small, soft creature with thin skin and dull teeth? My people used to hunt animals that looked like this. Easy prey." Some students laughed. Others looked uncomfortable. Instructor Mela said nothing. He simply watched. Yuna looked at Bren. She did not smile. She did not frown. She just looked. Bren laughed again. "It does not even respond. Perhaps it is too stupid to understand." "I understand," Yuna said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I just have nothing to say to you." The room went silent. No one spoke to a Karathi that way. They were warriors, predators, conquerors. They had destroyed entire civilizations before joining the Confederacy. Bren's eyes narrowed. For a moment, something dangerous flickered in his gaze. Then he snorted. Brave words from a creature that would die if I breathed on it too hard. Instructor Melos finally spoke. "Enough. We have a lesson to complete." He turned back to the center platform. This cycle, each student will present a study on their homeworld. You will explain what makes your planet dangerous and how your species survived. He looked at Yuna. Miss Park, you will work alone. The other species have requested separate arrangements. Yuna nodded. She expected this. No one wanted to work with the human. You will present last, Malas continued. I am curious to hear about Earth. The lesson ended an hour later. Students filed out, giving Yuna a wide space. She gathered her things slowly, letting the room empty. She did not want to walk through crowds that feared and hated her. When she finally left, she found she was not alone in the hallway. A Valori girl stood near the wall, watching her. She had silver blue skin that seemed to glow softly, and 4 bright eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on her face. She was beautiful in a strange, alien way. You are the human, the girl said. It was not a question. Yes, Yuna said. The Valori tilted her head. My name is Tella. I study xenobiology. I have read about your species. And what did you read? Tella's 4 eyes blinked one after another, like falling stars. Things that I am not sure I believe. Things that frighten me. Yuna almost smiled. What could frighten you about humans? You heard Bren. We are small and soft and weak. Tella did not answer immediately. She just stared at Yuna with those 4 bright eyes. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I read that your planet is classified as a Category 12 death world. I read that your species survived extinction events that would have destroyed any other civilization. I read that you hunt by chasing your prey until it dies from exhaustion. She paused. I read that you are not weak at all. I read that you are very, very dangerous. Yuna said nothing. Tella took a step back. I will be watching you, human. I want to know if the files are true. She turned and walked away, her footsteps silent on the metal floor. Yuna stood alone in the empty hallway. She looked down at her hands. Small hands. Soft skin, no claws. No armor, no venom dot, but her hands had built cities. Her hands had split atoms. Her hands had reached across the stars. She smiled to herself, just a little. Let them watch, she thought. Let them all watch. 2 weeks passed at the Galactic Academy. Yuna learned to live with the stairs. She learned to ignore the whispers. She learned which hallways to avoid and which times the eating hall was least crowded. She also learned that everything on this station was wrong for her body. The gravity was too light. On Earth, she weighed about 50 kilograms. Here, she felt like she weighed nothing. Her muscles wanted to push harder, jump higher, move faster. But she had been warned. Control yourself, her trainers had said. Do not show them what you can do. Not yet. So she walked slowly. She moved carefully. She pretended to be weak, but sometimes control was hard. It happened during physical conditioning class. All students were required to attend. The class was held in a large training room filled with machines and drones designed to test speed, strength, and reaction time. Instructor Voss, a muscular reptilian creature, called the students forward one by one. Each species had different tests. The Karathi lifted heavy objects. The Valori tested their reaction speed. The floating men practiced their mental abilities. Then it was Yuna's turn. Human, Instructor Voss said. He looked at his tablet. We do not have standard tests for your species. You are the first. He thought for a moment. We will start simple. Grip strength. He handed her a small metal device. It looked like a ball with sensors on it. Squeeze as hard as you can, he said. The device will measure your strength. Yuna took the device. It was cool in her palm. She knew she should hold back. She knew she should pretend to be weak, But she was tired of pretending. She squeezed it. The device made a crunching sound. Lights flashed. Then the whole thing crumpled in her hand like paper. The room went completely silent. Yuna looked down at the broken device. Metal pieces fell from her fingers to the floor. She started. "I am sorry. I did not mean to." "That device," Instructor Voss said slowly, "is rated for Karathi grip strength. It should not be possible for a creature your size to damage it." Every eye in the room was on her now. Yuna felt her face grow warm. On Earth, this would have been nothing special. Many humans could crush a simple testing device. But here, surrounded by aliens who thought humans were fragile, Bren stood up from his seat. His stone-like armor clicked as he moved. "A trick," he said. The device was already broken. Instructor Voss checked his tablet. The device was functioning perfectly before the test. Bren's eyes narrowed. He walked toward Yuna, his heavy steps shaking the floor. He stopped right in front of her, towering over her small form. "Fight me," he said. The room gasped. "Bren," Instructor Voss warned. "Combat between students is not permitted without a training match," Bren said. "Light contact only. I want to see what this human can do." Yuna looked up at him. He was massive. His armor looked thick enough to stop bullets. His hands were like boulders with claws. "No," she said. Bren laughed. "Scared?" "No. Then fight me." Yuna shook her head. "On Earth, we have rules about fighting. I am not allowed to hurt you." More laughter from the students. Even Instructor Voss seemed amused. "Hurt me?" Bren said. "You and I could break you with one finger." "Maybe," Yuna said. "But I will not take that risk." Bren's amusement faded. Something dark crossed his face. "You insult me, human. You think you can hurt a Karathi warrior. You think your soft little hands could damage my armor. I think," Yuna said carefully, "that if I hit you with my full strength, you might die. And I am not allowed to kill other students." The silence that followed was different from before. It was not shocked silence. It was confused silence. Uncertain silence. No one believed her. They could not believe her. She was small. She was soft. She had no weapons, no armor, no claws. But something in her eyes made them pause. Bren stared at her for a long moment. Then he snorted and turned away. "Crazy human," he muttered. "Save your lives for someone who believes them." He walked back to his seat. The class continued. But Yuna noticed that people looked at her differently now. Not with disgust or amusement. With something else. Something like fear. After class, Yuna walked to the medical wing. She had to check in every week with the station's doctors. They needed to make sure her strange human biology was not causing problems. She sat in a white room while machines scanned her body. Lights moved over her skin. Numbers appeared on screens. Dr. Hess, a tall alien with too many arms, studied the results. He made a clicking sound with his mouth. "Interesting," he said. "Is something wrong?" Yuna asked. "No, everything is normal for your species." He paused. "But your normal is very strange to us." "What do you mean?" Dr. Hess turned one of the screens toward her. It showed her body outlined in light. Red spots marked certain areas. "These are bacteria living inside your body," he said. "Billions of them. In your stomach, in your skin, everywhere." Yuna nodded. "Yes, they help us digest food. All humans have them, we know." Dr. Hess made that clicking sound again. "On most worlds, bacteria like this would kill a creature in hours. Your immune system not only allows them to live, it works with them. It is remarkable. We get sick sometimes," Yuna said. "But we usually survive. Dr. Hess looked at her with his many eyes. "Human, I have read your medical classification file. Do you know what it says? Yuna shook her head. It says you are classified as a Class 4 biological hazard. The same classification we give to military-grade bioweapons. He leaned closer. You carry diseases in your body that could destroy entire civilizations. Diseases that mean nothing to you. A simple cold from your planet could kill half the species on this station. Yuna felt cold. I was vaccinated. I was cleaned. I went through quarantine for 3 months before coming here. Yes, that is the only reason you were allowed to board. Dr. Hess straightened up. I am not trying to frighten you, human. I'm trying to explain why so many species fear your kind. It is not just your strength or your endurance. It is what you carry inside you. It is what you are. Yuna left the medical wing feeling strange. She walked slowly through the quiet halls, thinking about what the doctor had said. She found a small observation room with a window that looked out at the stars. She sat on a bench and stared at the distant lights. Footsteps approached. She turned and saw Tella standing in the doorway. I heard what happened in training class, Tella said. You broke the grip device. It was an accident. Tella walked closer. She sat on the bench, leaving space between them. Her 4 eyes reflected the starlight. Was it true what you said to Bren? That you could hurt him? Yuna thought about how to answer. Finally, she just told the truth. On Earth, our gravity is much stronger than here. My muscles, my bones, my body, they are built for a heavier world. Here, I am much stronger than I look. She looked at her hands. And humans, we are not gentle creatures. We survived by being the most dangerous thing on our planet. We killed predators bigger than Bren with rocks and sticks. Tella was quiet for a long time. What is Earth really like? She finally asked. Yuna looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond all those lights, was a small blue planet. Her home, Earth, is beautiful, she said softly. It has blue oceans and green forests and mountains that touch the clouds. It has sunsets that paint the sky in colors you cannot imagine. She paused. But it is also the most dangerous place I know. Everything there wants to kill you. The animals, the weather, the diseases. Even the planet itself shakes and burns and floods without warning. Humans survived by being tougher than everything else. By never giving up. By refusing to die. She smiled sadly. It is the most beautiful hell in the galaxy. Tella stared at her with all 4 eyes wide open. For once, she had no words. They sat together in silence, watching the stars, while somewhere far away, Earth continued to spin in the darkness. Tella came to find Yuna the next day. And the day after that. And the day after that. At first, she said it was for research. She was studying xenobiology, and humans were the newest species in the Confederacy. But Yuna could see something else in those 4 bright eyes. Curiosity. Real curiosity. The kind that went beyond science. They started meeting in the observation room every evening. Tella would bring her tablet and ask questions. Yuna would answer as honestly as she could. Tell me about your childhood, Tella said one night. Why you? And I thought about it. It was normal. I grew up in a city called Bizen. It is near the ocean. I went to school. I played with friends. I got sick sometimes. Sick? Tella leaned forward. What kind of sickness? When I was 8, I caught a bacterial infection. I had a high fever for 3 days. The doctors gave me medicine and I recovered. Tella's 4 eyes went wide. You have bacteria inside your body? Attacking you? Yes, it happens to all humans sometimes. And you just survived? With medicine, yes. It was not a big deal. I missed a week of school. Tella set down her tablet. Her silver blue skin had gone pale. Yuna, my species, The Valori, we have no defense against bacteria. If even one hostile bacteria entered my bloodstream, I would die within hours. No medicine could save me. We evolved on a world that was almost completely sterile. Yuna stared at her. I did not know that. Most species are similar. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, these things are death sentences for us. But humans... Tella shook her head. You fight these invisible enemies every day and think nothing of it. We do not think about it much, Yuna admitted. It is just part of life. Tella picked up her tablet again. Her fingers trembled slightly. Tell me more about Earth. Tell me what you consider normal. So Yuna told her. She told her about oceans filled with creatures that had hundreds of teeth. She told her about storms that destroyed cities. She told her about mountains so high that people died just from breathing the air at the top. And humans climb these mountains? Tella asked, her voice small. Yes, for fun? For fun? Yuna smiled. We call them challenges. If something is difficult, humans want to try it. If something is dangerous, humans want to conquer it. We climbed the highest mountains. We dove to the deepest oceans. We flew into the sky and then beyond it, into space. She pulled out her own tablet and showed Tella a video. It was a recording from Earth, a human running through a desert. The sun burned down from above. The sand stretched endlessly in every direction. This is called a marathon, Yuna said. Humans run for 42 kilometers without stopping. Why? Because we can. Because our ancestors used to hunt animals this way. We were not the fastest creatures on Earth. We were not the strongest. But we could run longer than anything else. We would chase an animal for hours, for days, until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would eat it. Sala watched the video in horror. You hunted by outlasting your prey? Yes, we call it persistence hunting. It is how we survived. That is terrifying. Yuna laughed softly. On Earth, we were not the monsters. We were the survivors. Everything else was trying to kill us. We just refused to die. Days turned into weeks. Tella and Yuna's meetings became longer. Other students started to notice Dot at first. They just stared. Then they started to talk. Whispers followed Tella through the hallways. The Valori girl who speaks with the human. What is wrong with her? Does she not know what humans are? Tella ignored them. She had found something more interesting than approval from her classmates. She had found a mystery, and she was determined to solve it. One day in the eating hall, Bran appeared at their table. He slammed his massive hands down, making the whole table shake. Tella jumped in her seat. Yuna just looked up at him calmly. You, Bran growled at Tella. What are you doing with this creature? I am talking with her, Tella said. Her voice shook a little, but she did not look away. You are making yourself look weak. A Valori, spending time with prey. She is not prey. Bran laughed. It was not a nice laugh. Look at her. Soft skin, no armor, no claws. On my world, we would hunt creatures like her for sport. Something changed in Tella's eyes. The fear faded. Something else took its place. Your world, she said slowly, has gravity that is 0.7 standard. Earth has gravity that is 1.0. Everything on her planet weighs more than everything on yours. Bran blinked. What? Her muscles are built for a heavier world. Her bones are denser than yours. Her heart pumps blood that carries more oxygen than any species in this room. Tella stood up. She was much smaller than Bran, but she did not seem small anymore. I have studied the files, Bran. I know what humans can do. They are animals. They are apex predators from a Class 12 death world. Their planet tried to kill them with ice ages, with asteroids, with diseases, with radiation. And they survived all of it. They built weapons that could crack planets. They split the atom for power. They put themselves in metal boxes and threw themselves into space because they wanted to see what was out there. Tella pointed at Yuna. That small, soft-skinned creature you think is weak? Her species conquered their entire planet before any other species in the Confederacy achieved spaceflight. They did it with persistence. They did it by never, ever giving up. The eating hall had gone silent. Everyone was watching. Bren stared at Tella with his mouth slightly open. He looked at Yuna, then back at Tella. "You are crazy," he finally said. "You have spent too much time with the human. She has infected your mind." He turned and walked away. His heavy footsteps echoed in the silent hall. Tella sat back down. Her hands were shaking. She looked at Yuna with wide eyes. "I cannot believe I did that," she whispered. Yuna smiled. It was a real smile, the first one Tella had ever seen from her. "That was brave. I was terrified. Being brave means being afraid and doing it anyway. That is something humans believe." Tella let out a shaky breath. "Your species is strange." "Yes," Yuna agreed. "We are." They finished their meal together. The other students went back to eating, but they kept glancing at the table where the human and the Valori sat side by side. Something had changed. The whispers were different now. There was still fear, but there was also something else. Respect. That night, Tella walked Yuna back to her room. "Why did you come here?" Tella asked. "To the academy? You must have known how they would treat you." Yuna stopped at her door. She turned to look at Tella. "Because someone had to be first. Someone had to show the galaxy what humans really are. Not monsters, not prey, just people. Strange people from a strange world, trying to find our place among the stars. And what are you really?" Tella asked softly. Yuna thought about her home. The blue oceans, the green forests, the cities full of people who laughed and cried and dreamed. Her family, her friends, her world. "We are survivors," she said. "That is all we have ever been. That is all we know how to be." She opened her door and stepped inside. "Good night, Tella. Good night, Yuna." The door closed. Tella stood alone in the hallway, thinking about death worlds and persistence hunters and a species that refused to die. She smiled with all four eyes. Tomorrow, she would have more questions. The announcement came on a cold morning in the station's artificial winter cycle. "Attention all students. The annual survival simulation will begin in 3 days. Teams have been assigned. Report to the briefing room at 1400 hours. Yuna heard the announcement in her room. She felt her stomach tighten. She had heard about the survival simulation. Every year, teams of students were dropped on hostile moons or planets. They had to survive for 72 hours with minimal supplies. It was the most dangerous test in the academy. Many students were injured. Some never came back. She walked to the briefing room with the other students. The room was packed. Instructor Melos stood at the center, his dark eyes scanning the crowd. "This year's simulation will take place on Kareth Moon," he said. "A world with extreme temperature shifts, toxic atmosphere pockets, and aggressive native fauna. Your only goal is to survive for 72 hours until extraction." Yuna looked around. Students were whispering nervously. Even the Karathi looked uncomfortable. "Teams have been assigned based on species distribution," Melos continued. "However, we have one special request this year." He looked directly at Yuna. "Student Bren of the Karathi has requested that the human be placed on his team." The room went silent. Yuna found Bren in the crowd. He was smiling. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had cornered his prey. "I want to see," Bren said loudly, "if humans can really survive anything, or if they are just good at telling stories." Instructor Melos turned to Yuna. "Student Park, do you accept this placement?" Every eye in the room was on her. She could refuse. She could ask for a different team. No one would blame her, but she thought about what she had told Tella. Someone had to show the galaxy what humans were. "I accept," she said. The team assembled the next day. There were 6 members. Bren, of course, his massive form blocking out the light. 2 other Karathi, slightly smaller but just as armored. A Valori engineer named Kess, who looked terrified. A Min scientist floating in his gravity bubble. And Tella, Una stared at her friend. "What are you doing here?" "I requested a transfer," Tella said quietly. "I could not let you face this alone." "Tella, this is dangerous." "I know." Tella's 4 eyes were bright with fear, but also with determination. "But you said being brave means being afraid and doing it anyway." "I want to be brave." Una felt something warm in her chest. She nodded. Bren laughed. "How touching. The human has a pet. Maybe she can protect you when the predators come." The shuttle dropped them on Kareth Moon at dawn. The sky was orange. The ground was brown and cracked. Sharp rocks jutted up from the dirt like broken bones. In the distance, mountains rose against the horizon, their peaks hidden by thick clouds. The air was thin and cold. Una's breath came out in small clouds of mist. "Temperature will drop to -40 tonight," Kess said, checking his scanner. "We need shelter." "Then find a shelter," Bren ordered. He looked around with his warrior's eyes. "We may camp near those rocks. They will block the wind." The team started walking. Una stayed near the back with Tella. She watched everything: the ground, the sky, the shadows between the rocks. Something was wrong. She could feel it. 3 hours later, everything fell apart. The attack came from below. The ground exploded, and a creature burst out long, covered in spines, with a mouthful of teeth like broken glass. It grabbed one of the Karathi and dragged him down before anyone could react. Screams. Chaos. Bren roared and charged, his massive fist swinging. He hit the creature hard enough to crack stone. It screamed and fled back on the ground, but the damage was done. The Karathi it had attacked was badly hurt. His armor was cracked. Purple blood leaked from deep wounds. "We need to move," Bren said. "More will come." They ran. Una helped carry the injured Karathi with Tella. He was heavy, even in the lighter gravity. Her muscles burned. Her lungs ached from the thin air, but she did not stop by nightfall. The temperature had dropped below freezing. The injured Karathi was unconscious. Cass had a broken arm. The Min's gravity bubble was flickering. They found a small cave in the rocks. It was cold and dark and smelled like old metal. But it was shelter. "We will die here," Cass whispered. "The cold will kill us before morning." Bren said nothing. He sat against the wall, his armor cracked in 3 places. His eyes were dull with pain and failure. Una looked at her team. At Tella, shivering in the corner. At the injured and the broken. And something changed inside her. "No," she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. "We will not die here." She walked to the mouth of the cave. She found rocks on the ground. She gathered dry plants from the cracks in the stone. She piled them together in the center of the cave. "What are you doing?" Bren asked. Una did not answer. She pulled a small survival tool from her pack. It had a metal edge and a rough surface. She had practiced this thousands of times. Back on Earth. She struck the tool against a rock. Sparks flew. The dry plants caught fire. Small flames grew larger. Heat and light filled the cave. The alien stared at her in horror. "Fire," Tella breathed. "You can make fire." "All humans can," Una said. "It is one of the first things we learn. Fire is how we survived on Earth. It kept us warm. It scared away predators. It cooked our food. She fed the fire with more plants, more dead things. The cave grew warmer. The cold retreated. Now, Yuna said, we need food and water. I saw a stream 2 kilometers east. And those creatures that attacked us, they have meat on them. Bren stared at her. You want to hunt the thing that nearly killed us? It is injured. I cracked one of its eyes when it passed me. Yuna picked up a sharp rock. On Earth, my ancestors hunted creatures 10 times that size with less than this. We can do this. We will do this. She did not wait for agreement. She walked out of the cave into the freezing night. Tella followed. They found the creature's blood trail. They followed it for an hour through the dark, through the cold, through the fear. Yuna's body screamed at her to stop, to rest, to give up. She did not give up. They found the creature in a small ravine, weak from blood loss. It tried to attack when it saw them. Yuna dodged its strike. She threw her rock with all her strength. It hit the creature's wounded eye. The creature screamed. Yuna ran at it. She grabbed another rock. She hit it again. And again. And again. The creature stopped moving. Yuna stood over its body, breathing hard. Her hands were cut and bleeding. Her whole body was shaking from cold and exhaustion. But she was alive. The creature was not. Tella stared at her with all 4 eyes wide. You killed it, she whispered. With rocks. You killed it with rocks. Yuna looked at her bloody hands. This is what humans are, she said. This is how we survived. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. But we do not stop. We never stop. We keep going until we win or until we die. They dragged the creature back to the cave. They had food. They had fire. They had warmth. They survived. The next 2 days were hard. Yuna did not sleep. She built traps. She found water. She treated wounds with plants she recognized from Earth biology training. She kept the fire burning through the freezing nights. When the rescue shuttle arrived at the 72-hour mark, Bren's team was the only team still intact. Other teams had called for emergency extraction. Some had lost members, but Bren's team walked to the shuttle under their own power. As Yuna climbed aboard, Bren stopped her. He stood before her, his massive form blocking the light. Human, he said. Yuna looked up at him. Bren placed his fist over his chest. Then he bent his head down, lowering himself before her. It was a bow. A Karathi bow. The highest sign of respect a warrior could show. I was wrong about your kind, he said quietly. You are not prey. You are not weak. He raised his head. His eyes met hers. You are a survivor. Like us. Better than us. Yuna did not know what to say. So she just nodded. Bren stepped aside. Yuna boarded the shuttle. Tella was waiting inside. She grabbed Yuna's hand. You saved us, she said. All of us. Yuna squeezed her friend's hand. We saved each other. The shuttle lifted off. Kareth Moon fell away below them. And Yuna, for the first time since arriving at the academy, allowed herself to close her eyes and rest. She had shown them what humans were. Now they understood. News traveled fast on Helix-9. By the time the shuttle docked, everyone on the station had heard the story. The human who made fire in the dark. The human who killed a predator with stones. The human who saved an entire team with nothing but her hands and her will. Yuna walked through the corridors and felt the change. People still stared at her, but the fear in their eyes was different now. It was not the fear of disgust or hatred. It was the fear of respect. The fear you show to something powerful. She did not feel powerful. She felt tired. Her hands were still healing from the cuts. Her body ached from 3 days of fighting to survive. But when she looked at her reflection in a window, she saw someone different. Someone stronger. Tella found her in the observation room that evening. "The final presentations are tomorrow," Tella said. "I finished mine." Yuna looked at her friend. "What did you write about?" Tella smiled with all four eyes. "I think you will see." The presentation hall was packed. Every student in the academy had come. Word had spread that Tella was presenting on humans, the first full scientific study of the new species. Yuna sat in the back, trying to be invisible. It did not work. People kept turning to look at her. She saw Bren a few rows ahead. He nodded at her once. She nodded back. Instructor Melas called the class to order. "Today we conclude our homeworld presentations. Our final presenter is Tella of the Valori. Her topic is human biology and survival adaptation." Tella walked to the center platform. She looked small under the bright lights, but her four eyes were bright and steady. "Thank you, Instructor Melas." She turned to face the crowd. "For the past 2 months, I have studied humans. I have read their files. I have talked with their first representative. And I have survived alongside one on a death moon." She touched her tablet. Images appeared on the screens around the room. "This is Earth, the human homeworld." The image showed a blue and green planet floating in space. It was beautiful, peaceful. Earth is classified as a Category 12 death world, the highest rating in the Confederacy. Let me explain what that means. The image changed. Now it showed charts, numbers, data. Earth gravity is 1.0 standard, higher than 90% of inhabited worlds. Every human is born and raised under crushing weight. Their muscles, their bones, their hearts, all are built to survive this pressure. When they leave their planet, they become stronger than almost any other species. The room was silent. Everyone was listening. Earth has temperatures that range from -89 degrees to 56 degrees. Humans survive in both extremes. They build shelters from ice. They walk through deserts that would kill us in hours. Another image. Microscopic creatures swimming in darkness. This is a sample of bacteria from a human's digestive system. These organisms would be deadly to most species in this room. But humans carry billions of them inside their bodies. They have evolved to work with creatures that would kill us. Tella looked at the crowd. "When I first met Yuna, I thought she was weak, small, fragile. I was wrong." The image changed again. It showed ancient drawings. Humans with spears, chasing large animals. Humans are persistent predators. They evolved to chase their prey for hours, sometimes days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. They were not the fastest hunters. They were not the strongest. But they never stopped. They never gave up. And eventually, everything else died. She paused. "That is what I learned on Kareth Moon. When our team was attacked, when our strongest warriors were injured, when we had no shelter and no food and no hope, one human saved us all. She made fire with her hands. She killed a predator with rocks. She kept us alive through 3 days of hell." Tella turned to look at Yuna in the back row. "I used to wonder why humans were classified as dangerous. Now I understand. They are not dangerous because they are monsters. They are dangerous because they refuse to die. They face impossible situations and they survive. They face enemies stronger than themselves and they win. Not through strength, not through speed, through something else. Something we do not have a word for in Valori." She smiled. "I think the human word for it is hope." The room was completely silent. "My conclusion," Tella said, "is simple. We feared humans because we thought they were primitive. We were wrong. They are not primitive. They are forged. Millions of years of survival on a death world made them into something incredible. Every human alive today is a descendant of those who refused to die. Those who kept fighting when everything was lost. Those who looked at an impossible universe and said, "We will find a way." She turned off her tablet. That is what humans are. Survivors. The greatest survivors in the galaxy. The silence lasted for 3 long seconds. Then Bren stood up. He placed his fist over his chest and bowed his head. Then another student stood. And another. And another. Soon the entire hall was standing. Not clapping. Most species did not clap. But they showed respect in their own ways. Bows. Gestures. Sounds that Yuna's translator identified as honor calls. Instructor Melos watched with his dark eyes. For the first time since Yuna had arrived, she thought she saw something like a smile on his ancient face. After the presentation, Yuna found Tella outside the hall. "You made us sound terrifying," Yuna said. Tella laughed. It was a beautiful sound, like bells made of light. "I made you sound like what you are. Survivors. The best survivors in the galaxy." Yuna hugged her. Tella stiffened at first. Valori did not touch much, but then she relaxed and hugged back. "Thank you," Yuna whispered. "For seeing me. For seeing us." "Thank you for showing me," Tella said. 3 months later, a new shuttle arrived at Helix-9.Yuna stood at the docking bay, watching the doors open. Beside her stood Tella, Bren, and a dozen other students who had become friends. 5 humans walked off the shuttle. They were young, nervous, looking around at the aliens with wide eyes. The first new exchange students from Earth. One of them, a tall boy with messy black hair, approached Yuna. His name tag said, Kim Do-yeon. "Are you Park Yuna?" he asked. "They said you would meet us." "I am." Do-yeon looked around at the aliens. A Karathi warrior. A Valori scientist. Creatures with too many eyes, too many arms, too many teeth. He swallowed hard. "Are they dangerous?" he asked quietly. Yuna looked at her friends. At Tella, who had stood up to fear. At Bren, who had learned to respect. At all of them, who had started as strangers and enemies and become something more. She laughed. "They were scared of us," she said. Do-yeon blinked. "What?" Yuna put her hand on his shoulder. "Come on, I have a lot to tell you." She led the new students into the station. Behind her, Tella fell into step beside the humans, already asking questions, her 4 eyes bright with curiosity. The universe was vast and strange and full of dangers. But humans had been surviving the impossible since the beginning of time. They would keep surviving. They would keep reaching for the stars, because that was what humans did. They refused to die. And sometimes, in the darkness between stars, that was the most powerful thing of all. The doors closed behind them. The station hummed with life. And somewhere, 1 billion light years away, a small blue planet kept spinning, kept breathing, kept sending its children into the infinite night. Home. They would never forget it. And they would make the galaxy remember it too.